This episode is brought to you by Genesis Chiropractic Software. As a UAC member, you know how crucial the right systems are for your practice. That's why UAC recommends Genesis Chiropractic Software. This all-in-one solution covers everything from patient scheduling to documentation and billing. With AI-powered automation, Genesis helps prevent tasks from slipping through the cracks and allows your practice to run more efficiently. Interested? Please visit GenesisChiropracticSoftware.com. That's GenesisChiropracticSoftware.com to schedule a demo. And be sure to mention UAC when you do. This message is brought to you by UAC with Genesis Chiropractic Software as our sponsor.
Hey everyone, welcome to UAC Best Practices podcast, where you get to hear from a UAC member, Ultimate Achievers Club, high-performing practice and life, and you get to hear a little nugget, the best practice, something they have going on in their practice, in their life, in their finances, whatever it might be. And our hope is that you're able to take that little piece of information, implement it into your life, and make a big change. So without further ado, Dr. Alan Miner, my co-host, will take it from here, and we'll get into it.
Hey, thanks, Dr. Brian. And we're with Dr. Matt Paterna today. Dr. Matt, I think, has been around UAC as long as I've been around UAC. Matt, I've always known you, like so many of the core members of UAC, is just having a badass practice that really helps a lot of people in your community. And I think where I started to notice you doing some really different things in your community was I think during COVID and around elections. And I'd see what you were doing on Facebook and Meta, and it just, I realized, wow, Matt's really taking this idea of being a pillar of the community and being, having this literal family practice where he has influence over people that he serves. Matt's out of Connecticut. And you've just continued on with that, Matt, in that vein of politics and vaccines and writing a book last year. So we're talking best practices. Let's just kind of start there. How did you go from chiropractor in your four walls to being more interested in what was happening within your community and within politics? Where did that start?
I mean, it starts with my why, and your last podcast was spot on. I think you have him coming to the UAC in Beverly Hills, and it really talks through the reason why I became a chiropractor. It's to help as many people as I possibly can, and within my community, I'm fortunate enough to have a voice. I've been here for 21 years. I've been serving the community. And I got into the vaccine conversation while I was in chiropractic school. It's almost 25 years ago. And I started learning more about what was going on. And I started to see vaccine injured kids in my student clinic. So I've always carried this torch with me. And right around 2017, 2018 in Connecticut, they started this whole movement to remove the religious exemption. And I became very involved in it. And because, again, my feeling is that a parent should have a right to choose. I'm a big proponent of medical freedom and parental choice. So I dove in on that, and there's really three things that I can intelligently talk about: chiropractic care, vaccines, and how to hit a baseball. Those are basically the three things that, like, if I give you advice on anything else outside, maybe I'm a pretty good parent, I think, too, like and husband. But I mean, if I'm giving you advice outside of those areas, don't take financial advice from me or anything like that. That's not my area of expertise.
Also, Matt, let me ask a question that I think, I'll tell you this way. For years in Albuquerque, I hosted a radio show for my practice. It was a conservative Republican, Rush Limbaugh was on that channel. I was on there on Saturdays. This was 15, 18 years ago. And I did a couple of shows on vaccines. And, that whole station was like people arguing with the hosts, and they loved it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I stepped into the vaccine conversation, I had people like calling livid and loving it. And to be honest, I don't think I knew enough and was comfortable at that time in my life. I was like, oh my gosh, and I knew that was what makes good radio, is people fighting and going back and forth. But
Yeah.
I also had this concern of, is this going to negatively impact my practice as a new chiropractor? And so I want to start there. I suspect a lot of chiropractors have stayed quiet on their beliefs and what they do with their families because they just have a concern of, is there going to be backlash? And I'll tell you, I tend to see the opposite during COVID, especially when chiropractors were really vocal on their beliefs and their viewpoints. Usually those practices are the ones that exploded. So can you start there? Like, how'd you work past maybe the fear of, is this going to hurt my business? Did you never have that fear? And what has it actually done for your business being this vocal proponent of educating on vaccines?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I definitely lost a few patients along the way, but I think the ones that I lost are the ones that it's okay. It wasn't a good fit to begin with anyway. And I never go out there and tell people to vaccinate or not to vaccinate. Like that's never been my position. My position has always been around the right to choose, and just having the ability to have a nice conversation with your doctor about what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing, versus being it shoved down your throat. So
Yeah.
I've always leaned on that side of it, and it's a message that most reasonable people can get into. I try to avoid the argument of whether it's safe or effective because it really just depends on what research you look at. Like there's plenty of research out there that would suggest it's safe and effective. We know that research is biased and purchased, and then there's research on our side to show the opposite. So it's sort of like, what's the point of arguing with somebody who has a totally different viewpoint? You're not going to change their
We're
viewpoint.
not, you're taking the position of, look, I just think you want to, like what RFK is saying, basically, I just really hope that you are making an informed decision, right? As that you have the right to make that decision. So, um, I would assume, like you said, you're going to lose a few patients, but you probably by far outweighs that as the people that are attracted to that, right? What's how do you provide resources? Because I would also assume that people are being attracted to you because of that, and they're going to ask you, "Well, what do you think?" Which you're not going to say. You're going to give them research, right? Absolutely, you're going to get resources. So,
Right.
how do you even organize all the resources that are out there? Or million vaccines and 10,000 different research studies, and how do you keep it simple and digestible for them?
Yeah, I mean, I direct them to Barbara Fisher's site. I mean, that's probably one of the best ways. I introduce them to Children's Health Defense. There's a wealth of information there, and quite honestly, since you brought up Bobby Kennedy, he is just such an incredible human being, and we're blessed right now. I have to just divert for a second. We are so blessed as chiropractors. I mean, we've got such a tailwind right now. It's amazing with the whole vaccine movement, but also just the overall health movement. I mean, what happens on a daily basis? I mean, just an hour ago, I was watching how they introduced the new food pyramid. I mean, these are things that we as chiropractors have been talking about for decades, and now it's becoming mainstream. How they're changing the vaccine schedule, how they're taking a different approach, how they're putting William Thompson, the CDC whistleblower who was banned from from public life, is now being put back into the CDC to help do research. That came out today. I mean, so these are all things that are happening that are just incredible, incredible for people like us who are genuinely interested in seeing our communities healthier, and to have an advocate like RFK Jr. is amazing. I want to share this quick story with the viewers because I think many people who are watching this, many UAC people, would remember that 3 years ago, the day before RFK announced his presidency, he did a phone call. I think, Brian, you were on that call. Alan, I think you were on that call as well. And there was about 60 chiropractors. I would say the majority, and when I say the majority, like probably 40 or 50 of them were UAC members. And the reason why is because Patrick put it together, right? And he laid out his whole plan to change the healthcare in the United States if he became president. And who did he share it with? He shared it with us. Yeah, and I mean, and why? I mean, obviously, he wanted us to we raised a lot of money for him now, and I think the 60 of us, we probably, I think, brought in over $100,000 for his campaign. But it just speaks to, we have a friend in a high place that I think is going to do a lot of good for chiropractic. I think right now he's just handling all these major issues, but I think within the next couple of years we're going to see some really cool things on our side that's going to help the chiropractic profession because he's going to be pushing that agenda. So I just wanted to throw that out there and how blessed we are to have him. And I've gotten to know him personally as well. He's just a wonderful human being. Um, when we were up in Hartford fighting for our religious exemption, he was there every single time we had a major event, and anytime we had to speak to the lawmakers, I made sure that he was there because he was the one that he and Dell were the ones that came and gave the best testimony. So I got to know them both very very well, and they're just tremendous human beings. So we're lucky as chiropractors to have him on our side.
Yeah, I don't know if then you remember it. Well, I'm sure you remember this, but when we had right before the election, we had Dell come and speak on his behalf to UAC just directly, private meeting, and because they know that we're in a position, that room, the people in that room are leaders in our profession, and
Yeah.
it's easy. Just they go to one to many to all the leadership in the profession, and pretty
Yep.
cool moment to be there. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a good platform to be on, especially as a chiropractor, because you'll get the people, oh, you're a chiropractor, you're not a medical doctor, you don't know what you're talking about. And quite honestly, the simple response is neither do they. You know, we Yeah, I mean, but we do know what we're talking about because we take the time to actually look at the research. And really, all you have to do is be able to read and understand what's going on. And that not that makes you an expert, but what it does is it gives you the opportunity to share that information with other people. Um, so
So your best practice, so we had to boil this down into an actual best practice. Is it just what you've seen being more successful or helpful these days in practices? It's coming back to our roots, and just kind of starting back from scratch about the vaccines and taking that stand as we're not telling you what to do. We're just telling you we want you to be informed because there's more than just that opinion out there.
absolutely. Absolutely. And since we're on the topic, I do want to share this because there are people that are in Connecticut, New York, Maine, West Virginia, and California who do not have a religious exemption, right? So there's 5 states that still do not have they were taken away. We've got good intel that's gonna say that we're gonna get back pretty soon, probably within the year. And it's exciting stuff. There's a lot of we're gonna win it back in the courts. We're not gonna win it back in the legislation because unfortunately those 5 states are now
Okay.
are not in our favor. Good.
Question. Why does it have to be a religious exemption? Why can't it just be my choice? No.
Oh, that would fantastic, Brian.
Number two. Maybe my question is, do you ever see it getting there? Actually go there. Number both, and you can take them as number two. In Florida, I don't know if you realize this, there is an exemption. But if you take the exemption, I live in Florida, and I was blown away by this when I moved here. Um, my son was still very young. I of course did the exemption. I don't know if you know this. You have to register your kid that you are taking a religious exemption with the state government. So you're literally registered with where you live, who you are. Like I don't know. It seemed like some kind of Nazi list or something like some crazy thing so they can come. It was scary to me.
Yeah.
I don't think they should have to know that. Heh, of course, we're going to agree on that, but do you see elements ever getting to a place where it's just, I choose not to do this? And I don't ever say anything. I'm just obviously not doing it.
I know that there are 20 something states that have philosophical exemption, which is what you're basically saying. Like, I just based upon what I believe, I don't want to do it. I don't know. I don't think so. I think that there's so much pushback um, from the left side of the aisle, and there's so much strength within the pharmaceutical cartel that it's going to be difficult to do that. What we do have in this country is we have religious freedom, And that's what was taken away from us when they removed the religious exemption. They violated our religious freedom, which is what I wanted to just really quickly talk about, because these are talking points for other doctors to have with their patients if this ever comes up. Is that your personal beliefs are protected in the respect that you have, freedom of speech and freedom of expression, but stronger than that is your freedom of religion, which is ultimately the reason why this country was even founded, which is we're coming up on our 250th birthday. Why did people come to this country? Why did they get on these rickety boats and risk their life to travel 3,000 miles across a body of water to come to a different place? Is because they were being persecuted religiously in their countries. And
That's right.
and that's the very first thing that's written in our Constitution is the protection of that religious freedom. And when they took away the religious exemption, they violated that. So there's this law called RFRA. It's the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, and it was enacted in 1993 by Bill Clinton. It's one of the first things he did when he took office. It's a good thing he did. And it's the same language as the Civil Rights Act, except that instead of protecting you on race, it's protecting you on religion, which basically says that no organization at all, state, federal, anything, can discriminate against you on any basis whatsoever, unless there's cause. And that cause has to be very, very specific. Um, and it has to rise to an extremely high level in order for that to happen. So that's the basis of the appeal in Connecticut, is that we're appealing based upon that RFRA statute. And the interesting thing about that statute is that there's also states. There's 30 states that have a state level RFRA on top of the federal. So all 50 states have federal, and then the states also have it. Interestingly enough, Connecticut was the first state to enact that RFRA statute.
Oh, no, wow.
Right. Now, interestingly enough, too, the lawmaker that signed that into law, the one that he came up with the law in Connecticut, his last name was Ritter. Fast, fast forward 25 years, the jackass that took our religious exemption away was his son.
Fuck.
So when we get our religious exemption back, it's going to be because of the law that his father wrote 30 years ago, or 32 years ago.
What makes this to vaccinate or not to vaccinate a religious decision?
Well, two things. One, just from the ingredients that are in the vaccine, they're aborted fetal tissue cell lines within certain vaccines. So from that perspective, there's an argument that religion, it violates my religious beliefs, because I don't want aborted fetal cells in my body.
Yep.
The bigger argument is that you do not need to declare a specific religion in the United States, right? Religion is your personal covenant with your God. You cannot be questioned about what you believe in. You could believe in this bottle of water and say that that's your God. You know, it's your personal relationship with your personal God. And it has nothing to do with organized religion. And that's something that's been argued and won over the years. So when people say, well, the Catholic Church or the Judaism or Hinduism, we all believe in vaccines, that's fine. I mean, there's plenty of Catholics out there who also believe that it's okay to have an abortion. Just because you don't get kicked out of church because you believe that, right? So there's lots of different examples, but that's a fantastic question, and one that will often come up, and you need to have a good answer for it. That's the answer for it. Yeah,
Exactly.
cool. So it's exciting stuff, man. It really is. I mean, we're living in exciting times. If you're a chiropractor that's been around for a while and you've been fighting this fight, and I think we've got great days ahead of us. Just every day there's something new that's coming out, and it's just like win and
Yeah,
win.
literally today before we recorded, I was watching Bobby, and it's like, man, finally, amazing. So I'm not sure if Alan might, you might have lost Alan, but one last question we like to end up with is, just UAC. You've been there quite a while. I think you were there before I was, actually. So,
One in 2013.
yep. So I don't remember what year. It's been so long, but what has it meant to you? What has being a member in UAC meant to you?
Brotherhood. You know, just being in a room with other human beings that are on the same mission that I am on. Um, I go into that room and I'm always humbled because, most of the rooms that I go to locally when I speak in Connecticut or I go to like my local events, like I'm considered one of the bigger fish in the room. And, it's nice. And then I go to that room and I feel like I'm a minnow. Which
We all did, yes.
right. But it's great. But it's great because, I'm talking to a chiropractor who has, 25 clinics or doing all these different, these different amazing things, or, speaking to someone like you who's got this beautiful, like, growing tech company that's doing awesome. It humbles me to know that, everyone there is just so welcoming, warm, that they don't care if you're a single doctor practice. It's not about that at all. It's about being in that room and knowing that the person next to you, whether they're earning, $1 million a year or $500 million a year, they care about the same thing that you care about, and they just want this world to be a better place, and either they're doing it by seeing more patients or by helping doctors see more patients. And I love it. I think it's great. And I tell people about it all the time. And yeah, it's great.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you at the next event.
Yes.
And yeah, thanks for doing
Oh,
the work, man.
hey, don't forget, guys.
Oh,
I got my book.
never got to your book. Oh my.
No, that's okay. That's all right. I just wanted you guys to see it. It's Chiropractic for Smarties. It's a common sense approach to modern day healthcare. And it's
Okay,
available.
your choice
Nope.
patient.
What's that?
It's a book for patients.
It's a book for patients. Exactly. This was a book that was written for patients because I have so much I want to share with them, and I figured might as well just write a book. So there you go.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. And what's it called, and how do they get it?
it's called Chiropractic for Smarties. Get it on Amazon, and it actually came out on September 18th. And since it came out on September 18th, I decided to charge 18.95 for it. So
So, brother.
yeah,
Love more of that. I appreciate you, brother.
hey guys, thank you. Look forward to seeing you. Yeah.
All right.